here is, you know, not a great micrograph. Clearly we've got what here? Yeah, bronchiole associated with the pulmonary artery. Remember that if you see a bronchiolar profile, you start looking for a vessel associated with it, because the pulmonary artery runs in parallel to the bronchial tree. The pulmonary vein runs in the connective tissue septa between lobules of each lung lobe. All right? So you see a vessel like this, even though you don't have an elastic stain, good chances are it's a pulmonary artery. Down here, it looks pretty much terminal bronchiole. We're starting to get out here. We've got these little outpocketings out here. Might call it respiratory. All right? Same song, second verse. You can see how that's really, you know, what's unfortunate is that this should be more cupped to be an alveoli, but in processing it's flattened out. If you see an alveolus with a little knob of smooth muscle on either side of the alveolar outpocketing, it's got to be a respiratory bronchiole, right? The smooth muscle goes only as far as the respiratory bronchiole in terms of its extent down there. If you see alveolar outpocketings, one alveolus next to another, without that little knob of smooth muscle, you're probably looking at an alveolar duct. Okay, I showed you this in lecture. We've clearly got a columnar that's ciliated still. We've got these chloroccells that crank out that proteinaceous substance that prevents the bronchiole from walls from sticking to one another on expiration. Nice low-power micrograph, electron micrograph of lung parenchyma. I mean, they're saying alveolar duct. I have no context for that, but this is clearly an alveolus, right? You can see nicely the capillary and the red blood cells, and here is that blood-air interface. Remember, that's 1/10 to 1.5 microns thick, consisting of what kind of pneumocyte? Type 1 pneumocyte, a basal lamina produced by the type 1 pneumocyte, and what? Endothelial cell. All right, good. What else? Can we see anything else here? Ah, that's probably a type 2 pneumocyte. See those granules would make me want to speculate that those granules are the surfactant. So here's again a micrograph I showed you. So really pretty attenuated, which is what you'd expect. So the asterisk is in the cytoplasm of the type 1 pneumocyte. The surfactant has been removed during processing. We've got a space where we have that fused basal lamina, endothelial cell cytoplasm. Over here we can see the endothelial cell, thicker basal lamina, and that type 2 cell. Note that right here and here, as well as here and here, are tight junctions between this type 2 cell and type 1 cells on either side. And you can see nicely the secretory granules that contain, it's kind of like an accordion. Once it's extruded, it just flattens, opens up, and then covers the whole alveolar surface. And this is a crappier version of what I showed you. You can see the dust cell here. Get a sense for the type 1 and type 2 pneumocytes. Okay, so elastic stain tissue, we're talking about pulmonary circulation. Thin wall, so this has to be either a pulmonary artery or vein, right? Low pressure. Remember the right side of the heart, 20, 25 millimeters of mercury. Coming off the left side, you're talking 120 or more, all right? So thin wall, internal and external elastic lamina makes it the pulmonary artery. Yes. Arterioles down to the capillary network surrounding each of these alveoli. Then those drain venules into the pulmonary vein. No internal, just an external elastic lamina, thin wall, carries oxygenated blood. What are these? I mean, I'm hearing things that they could be. I don't really know. It's a crappy micrograph. I just say leukocyte, right? Nucleated, clearly. Although macrophage would have been a good, or monocyte would have been a good guess because of the size relative to the red blood cell. That might be a lymphocyte. It's small enough. And then we've got our systemic side of the circulation. Big old thick wall, internal elastic lamina makes it a bronchial artery. And then we'll finish up with lymphatics. All right? So, Tuesday morning, 7:45, we'll deal with those that scored less than. Those of you that want to go over your exam that scored greater than, we'll arrange another time. All right? Have a good weekend. And don't forget, GI tract, digestive system next week.
I'm sorry. But there's a lot of like tiny little like spell speech.